not deleted because it's disabled by default. But obviously, as we can see in this UI, we can control if you want to enable or disable delete on termination. And so a use case for it would be, for example, that if you want to preserve the root volume when an instance is terminated, for example, to save some data, then you can disable delete on termination for the root volume and you'll be good to go. And that could be an exam scenario at the exam. So I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture. So let's have a look at the EBS volumes tab here. So if you click on instance, and then you go to the storage tab in here, you find that there is a root device, and there's a block device on it. As you can see, we get one volume of 8 gigabytes currently attached into our EC2 instance. So what I can do is I can click on this volume, and it will take me into the volumes interface of AWS. And we can see that yes, indeed, our volume exists and is there. It's in use, as shown here, and it's attached to an instance volume. So we have a different kind of console here, and to access it, you can just go on the left-hand side and click on the volume. So as you can see now, we have one EBS of 8 gigabytes, and what I can do is I can create a second volume. So let me create a volume, and I will have many options to choose from, GP2, GP3, and so on, but I will just use GP2 of type of size 2 gigabytes. And then for availability zone, I choose the same one where my EC2 instance is. So for this, I'm going to go into my EC2 instance in here, and I will find which availability zone it is on. So I scroll down. It is going to be network 1. So I scroll down, networking, and here availability zone, it says EU West 1B. Therefore, the volume I will create is going to be in EU West 1B because EBS volumes are bound by a specific AT. So that's good. I will have it done and create this volume. And now my volume is created. And what I can do is I can click on it. This one is currently not attached. Okay, so it's creating. So currently it's created. Okay, it's available. And it's not attached yet. So therefore, because it's available, what I can do is action, and then I can attach the volume, and we need to find an instance. So we have one running right here. So we're going to attach this volume to my instance, click on attach volume, and voila, our instance now has 2 EBS volumes attached to it. How do we know? Well, I can refresh this page, go to storage on my EC2 console, scroll down, so you can see now for block devices, I have 2 block devices. I have the one of 8 gigabytes and the one of 2 gigabytes. To actually use this new block device, it's a bit more complicated and out of scope for this course, but we can go to Format, EBS, Volume, Attach, EC2, and you should find something like, yes, make an Amazon EBS volume available to use on Linux, and this gives you instructions how to do it, but again, this is out of scope. So now, if I go into my volumes and I create a volume, I can create a volume of 2 gigabytes of GP2, but this time the AZ is going to be EU West 1A and not EU West 1B. So it's going to be a different AZ than the one of my EC2 instance. And the reason I do so is to show you that right now we have 3 GP2 volumes. So let me refresh this. So the last one is available. It's a different AZ, so EU West 1A. If I do action and then attach volume, as you can see, I cannot attach it to my EC2 instance because my EC2 instance is in EU West 1B. So therefore, you can see that the EBS volumes indeed are bound by a specific availability zone. Lastly, what I can do is that I can take this volume, action, delete volume, and it's gone. And that really shows you the power of the cloud. I can just request volume, delete volume right on the go in the matters of seconds. Okay, so we have our 2 EBS volumes here, and what I want to show you now is the cool behavior. So what happens if I terminate my instance? Well, remember, and I will show you again, this one root volume of 8 gigabytes has the delete on termination attribute. So how do we know? Well, if I go into my storage and then go to my block devices, to this table right here, and scroll all the way right, you see the first one has delete on termination, yes, and the second one no. So So why this one is yes? Well, I don't know if you remember, but when you go through the process of launching an instance, okay, and then you scroll down to storage, in here, if you click on advanced, you can see the fact that it is your root of 8 GB, and by default, this delete on termination attribute is yes, which makes sense, but you can set it to no if you want to keep the root after terminating your instance. So this explains why we see from before yes in this table. And so therefore, if I go ahead and terminate my instance, which I will, so it says successfully terminated, so it's going to really remove it from here. I can go back into my EBS volumes, I can refresh them, and what's going to happen is that this one soon is going to be available, so because it's going to be detached from my EC2 instance, and then it's going to be terminated. So I'm going to pause until this is done. And here we go, so my 8 GB volume has now disappeared, only my 2 GB volume is left. And if I go to my EC2 console, well, it says that my first instance has been terminated. So that's it for this lecture. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture. So now let's talk about EBS snapshots. So an EBS snapshot is a backup at any point in time of your EBS volume. And for this, it's not necessary to detach your EBS volume from your EC2 instance, but it's recommended. You can copy these EBS snapshots across different availability zones or even across different regions. So for example, let's take an EC2 instance that has an EBS volume in US East 1A and an EC2 instance with a US East 1B. So we can take a snapshot of the EBS volume, okay? And thanks to the snapshot, we can actually restore it in another AZ. So this is how you would transfer an EBS volume from one AZ to another. Next, you need to know about a few EBS snapshot features. So the first one is called the EBS snapshot archive. It's the ability for you to move the snapshot to an archive tier that is going to be up to 75% cheaper. So if you do move the snapshot to an archive tier, then it will take you from within 24 to 72 hours for restoring the archive, so it's not immediate. The other thing is to have a recycle bin for EBS snapshots. So in case you do delete your EBS snapshots, instead of being permanently deleted, then instead they're going to land in a recycle bin. And so the idea with this is that you can recover them from an accidental deletion. And the retention for your recycle bin can be set from anywhere between 1 day to 1 year. The last feature you need to know about for your EBS snapshots is called the fast snapshot restore. So this forces a full initialization of your snapshot to have no latency on the first use. This is particularly helpful if your snapshot is big, very big, and you need to initialize an EBS volume or EC2 instance out of it very quickly. But this feature costs a lot of money, so be careful when using it. Okay, that's it for this lecture. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture. So we have this 2 GB GP2 EBS volume available to us, and we can take a snapshot from it. So if we do actions, we can create a snapshot. So we can add a description, for example, demo snapshot, and then click on create snapshots. So then on the left-hand side menu, instead of volumes, you can click on snapshots. And snapshots show you the list of all the snapshots you have. And as you can see, we have one right here. It is completed. It is 100% available. And we get some information around that snapshot itself. First of all, what we can do is that we can copy this snapshot into other region. So if you right click and do copy snapshots, then as you can see, you can copy the snapshot into any destination region that you want. And this can come in very handy in case you want, for example, to have a disaster recovery strategy to make sure your data is backed up in another region of AWS. So I won't do so, but you get the idea. Another thing I can do is take the snapshot and I can recreate a volume from it. So action, create volume from snapshot. And we choose a 2 GB GP2 volume. And then the target AZ doesn't have to remain EU West 1A. It can be, for example, EU West 1B. And we can also include this volume if you wanted to. and add some tags. And so as we can see, when we click on create volume, what's going to happen is that if we go back into our volumes, well, now we have two volumes, as you can see, and one of them, this one, was restored through a snapshot, okay? And it is an EU West 1B. So the idea is that thanks to snapshots, we can quote-unquote copy EBS volumes across different availability zones, and that's very handy. If we look again at snapshots, we can have a look at what's called the recycle bin. So the recycle bin is a way for you to protect your EBS snapshots from accidental deletion as well as your Amazon machine images. So we can create a retention rule and name it demo retention rule. I will select EBS snapshots. I will apply to all resources and retain them during 1 day. And for rule lock setting, I will leave this unlocked so that I can delete this rule when I want to. And then click on create retention rule. And now on the resources, we can see if we have resources in the recycle bin. So let's go back into our snapshots in the EC2 console. So I'm going to go into EC2, here we go, snapshots, little shortcut. And what I'm going to do is take the snapshots, and first, before I delete it, I want to show you the storage tier. So right now it is a standard storage tier, okay? But you can move the storage tier by archiving a snapshot, and so allow you to move the storage tier into another pricing level. But if you want to restore it, of course, you will have to wait 24 to 72 hours. So just to show you, but anyway, let's go ahead and delete the snapshot. So we'll delete the snapshots, and as you can see, it's gone. And before, it used to completely delete the snapshots and you couldn't recover it, okay? As you can see, it's gone. But now, thanks to the recycle bin, well, if I refresh here my resources, I can now see that my snapshot has appeared here. And what I can do is click on it and recover it. Yes, recover resources. And voila, it's back into my snapshots on my EC2 console. Okay, that was pretty awesome, right? Okay, that's it for EBS snapshots. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture. Which is an AMI. So AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image, and they represent a customization of an EC2 instance. So you can use AMIs created by AWS, or you can customize it into your own. And what is in an AMI? Well, we have our own software configuration. We can define and set up the operating system. We can set up any monitoring tool. And if we create our own AMI, we're going to get a faster boot time and configuration time, because all the software that we want to install onto our EC2 instance is going to be pre-packaged through the AMI. So we have to build our own AMIs, and they can be built for a specific region, and then they can be copied across region if we wanted to use it and leverage the AWS global infrastructure. So we can launch EC2 instances from different kind of AMIs. What we've been doing so far in this course is to use a public AMI, and these are provided by AWS. So the Amazon Linux 2 AMI is a very popular AMI for AWS, and it was provided by AWS themselves. But we can create our own AMI, then therefore you have to make and maintain them yourself. There are tools, obviously, to automate this, but this is a task that you have to do as a cloud user. Or finally, you can launch an EC2 instance from an AWS Marketplace AMI, which is an AMI that has been made by someone else and potentially sold by someone else. So it is quite common to have vendors on AWS to create their own AMIs with their own software, with a nice configuration and so on, and then they will sell it through the Marketplace AMI for you to buy it and to save some time. And even you, as a user, you could create a business of selling AMIs on the AWS Marketplace. This is something that some businesses do. Okay, so the AMI process from an EC2 instance, how does it work? Well, we'll start an EC2 instance and we'll customize it. Then we will stop the instance to make sure the data integrity is correct. Then we can build an AMI from it, so this will also create EBS snapshots behind the scenes. And then finally, we can launch instances from other AMIs. So this is what we'll be doing in the demo in the next lecture. So we have US East 1A, and we can create the same instance as US East 1B. So the process is we launch an instance in US East 1A, we're going to customize it, then we're going to create an AMI from it, and this will be our custom AMI. and then in US East 1B, we will be able to launch from that AMI and we'll effectively create a copy of our EC2 instance. So I hope you're excited, and I will see you in the next lecture. So let's go ahead and practice using AMIs. For this, I'm going to launch an instance, and I'm going to go into this new experience. So I will scroll down, we'll choose Amazon Linux 2. I will scroll down again, we'll use the T2 Micro. I will select the EC2 role as my key pair, but it doesn't really matter. Then I will scroll down, I will edit the network settings, and I will select an existing security group, being my launch wizard 1 from before. Then we'll have the same storage, and for advanced details, I will scroll down, and I'll go for user data. But this time, you're going to copy everything but the last line. So in the first 4 lines, we actually install HTTPD, which is the Apache web server, and in the last line, we create an index file, but right now we don't want to create an index file, we want to do everything but that, to create an AMI out of it. So we just copy everything. Remember, the last line is the systemctl command, and then we launch our instance. So our instance is launched, and what's going to happen is that the instance is going to launch, so it's right here, and then it's going to run through the EC2 user data script, and it's going to install the Apache web server. So if I'm too quick and I try to open right now this public IPv4 and try to enter into it, as you can see, it doesn't work. I'll get a connection error, a refuse, and so on. I need to make sure I'm also using the HTTP protocol, of course. But it just won't work, right? Because you need to give it a bit of time. Even if it says running, you need to give it time for the EC2 user data script to run for the first time. So this might take a minute, this might take 2 minutes, okay? But don't be in a rush, just wait for it to be done. And then at some point, when you refresh, you will see the screen. So let me pause the video. And it took about 2 minutes, but now I have my test page, and this is the basic page from the Apache web server, and therefore we are good to go. So what we're going to do out of it is we're going to create an AMI, because we want to just save the state of our EC2 instance and reuse that. So I right click, and I will do image and template, and then I will create an image. So we'll call this one demo image, and we're going to create our own AMI. And then we have these settings right here. We'll just leave it as is. Go here and click on create image. So now what's going to happen is that an AMI is going to be created. So if I go to the left-hand side and click on AMIs, as we can see here, my demo AMI is registered.